Me and Bog are gonna go swimming. But once we're done, I'm gonna show you a few ways to whoop your boy's ass during the summer, dude. Some soft plastic kind of finesse techniques that have been killing it for me. Oh God. Dude, get that 11 pounder, 10 pounder. Yeah, so stay tuned. I think you're gonna like this. Well, get in the water, dude. Get in the water. It's like 97 degrees. Go, dude. Go. Go jumping. Go, go, go. Go, go. Dog, you wanna go talk fishing? Let's go. So I've caught 2 double-digit fish since I've been down here. And then I actually caught like a 9 pounder too. Not doing what we're gonna talk about right now, but it's all in soft plastics. And late summer, these fish kind of, we talked about, they get beat up. They get a little harder to catch. I don't care if you're in Florida, if you're up north, in Alabama, whatever. They see a lot of baits and the heat just turns up kind of the, I don't know, the thermostat on them, and they just get super neutral. But what I've found personally, at least, especially in this trip, since I've been down in Florida, it's been like 98 degrees at points. Water temp's like 94. A drop shot has been killer. But I do things a little bit different with a drop shot than I think what a lot of people do. So I'm gonna show you how I rig up a drop shot, which is a little bit different, but then more importantly, what I put on the back of it and kind of what I do with it, because that's definitely different. Bog the fishing bog. All right, scooch. So drop shot's really cool because it actually suspends the bait. The hook is up here and the weight is down here, and basically it's sort of like a finesse Carolina rig. It suspends the bait off the bottom, and I think that's a big key for this time of year. Whether it's the bait moving up, whether you get summer rains where you're at, I think a lot of fish get suspended later in summer, especially because like it's not like in fall all of a sudden the fish are like chasing bait in the backs of creeks high up in the water column. Like it's a gradual process. Like you have to get there. It's a step-by-step kind of process. It doesn't just change one day. But it's a finesse presentation, and I really think finesse in late summer is a big key. There's 3 baits that I really put on the back of a drop shot. But before I show you that, I kind of want to refocus on the rig and kind of what I have set up. What I'd recommend you're always doing is running braid to a finesse, like a fluorocarbon leader. I run 8-pound test. This is a 610 KS2 Elite. I got a Daiwa Eliminator. It's just a little 2500 size spinning rod reel. Leader material though is important. A lot of guys will be like, yeah, I'll just go get some fluorocarbon from Walmart and send it, bro. And that's fine, I guess, in most situations. I'm a little more anal about it. I run FC Sniper. This is a bulk spool of 8-pound test. I've tried, so you guys know I use a lot of Red Label. Red Label is great as sort of generic, general fluorocarbon like usage. Red Label sucks as leader material, dude. Like, absolutely sucks. Like, I can guarantee you, because I've tried it and I keep trying it because I want to save some money. The FC Sniper, the Sunline stuff, it's the deal, dude. I could use another word to describe it, but if you want really good fluorocarbon leader for, I'd say like 8 to 10 pound tests for doing all these kind of these spinning rod applications where you run a braid to leader, this is what you want to be using. The other thing I want to note real quick too with my rig. Now, a lot of you guys give me hell about this, but I can guarantee you're going to catch more fish than your buddy by doing this simple trick because you can present your bait better and in more places. In early spring, on spotted bass lakes, on smallmouth lakes, I will use a circle style hook. You know, your classical kind of drop shot hook that you see everybody throwing. When we get into late summer, when there's grass everywhere, when these fish are relating to cover that could be deep, when you can catch bigs. I caught an 11-pound, 4-ounce bass on this exact setup that I'm showing you. Literally, 8-pound test, 14-pound leader, but I think the hook's important. I run a Robo Worm rebarb hook. Basically, it's literally like a finesse straight shank hook. Like if you blew this thing up and made it wide gauge, it's what we use for flipping in that. What it allows me to do, I'm actually gonna just go ahead and show you. Actually, let me grab one of these because this will be a good example. I'll put one of the baits that I use on it. What it allows me to do is rig the bait a couple different ways. And one, real straightforward, this is a Shaky Shad, we're gonna talk about it in a minute. You can Texas rig it just by bringing it through. See how it has that little keeper right there? You just bring it through till that keeper passes on through. Just like that, and then that keeper kind of pushes against the plastic, and then all you do is you bury the hook. in most cases right now, I'm burying the hook mostly. I might pop it out just a hair, but I'm fishing some pretty heavy brush and fishing around some pretty heavy cover. And I think this is one of the keys. So with this Texas rig, I can basically put a suspended lure or present a suspended lure in heavy cover in like, I mean, some of these trees that I'm fishing are like tangly absolute messes. At the same time, and this is actually something I did on Gunnersville when I got up there, because we moved up in like October, which was still pretty warm out. I can fish like all those eelgrass edges and like those deeper like grass or weed lines, whatever you guys call them, where you're at. I can drag this thing through that stuff and it runs pretty clean. You'd be surprised how clean these little teardrop kind of weights run through. This is a 1/4 ounce. In general, unless you're fishing like super deep or super shallow, a 1/4 ounce drop shot. This is a West Coast drop shot weight. They are the cheapest, awesomest, and this is the best shape that you can use for general purposes for just about anything. I'll put links to all this stuff in the Tug Warehouse. But that Texas rig allows me to fish a drop shot in a lot of places that you wouldn't normally be able to fish a drop shot. The other thing with this hook too is I'm gonna pop it off. You kind of notice in late summer you get a lot of fish that like short bite the bait. You'll get a lot of like ticks, you know, and sometimes it's like small limits actually are what it takes to win some of these derbies and stuff like that. Derbies that I don't think they should be running in late summer, but that's a whole nother conversation. But here's a little trick. This is something I learned from JT and played around with. With this hook, if you're in a situation where they say these fish are more on like a little bar, like a shell bar, or the grass is like super sparse, or maybe the grass, so I have about a 14-inch leader on here. Maybe the grass only comes up to like 4 or 5 inches off the bottom, and you don't need to have it weedless. So what you do is you actually take this hook and you almost make like a pre-rigged worm, and you run it through just to about there. And then what ends up happening is you still have that keeper right on there, and you slide the bait right over that keeper, and that keeper acts like, it basically like expands once it's inside the bait, and it acts to keep the bait on there, and you get sort of like a, I don't know, like a pre-rigged worm, like finesse presentation. This is awesome. I kind of misrigged it a little bit. I gotta pull it back just a hair. This is awesome when you can fish more open water areas. And the trick is too, if this was a circle hook, the bite on the hook would be like right there and you end up missing them. Plus it's a small little circle hook. The bite on this hook is much longer, so you miss a lot less fish. Plus, in my personal opinion, when you have this hook through the middle of the body, you get a better tail shake. When you have that little circle hook right there, the whole worm or the whole soft plastic that you're using shakes. But to be honest with you, I'm more interested in just getting like a little bit of tail twitch usually. So I kind of like this because it's sort of, it creates a different action. But that's why I like using these offset shank hook or these straight shank hooks, but they're meant for like Texas rigging. They give me some options to rig, because the other way that I'll actually do this is pop it through the middle and I'll wacky rig just like that, which we're going to talk about. But it's a stouter hook, because I do catch some bigger fish this time of year in late summer. It's kind of a grind to catch them, but I catch some bigger fish. I'm fishing around a lot of cover. This hook gives me the versatility to fish open water stuff as well as heavy cover stuff without having to retie a drop shot, which if any of you guys have ever fished it, you know what a headache that is. So let's get to the juice though. Let's talk about baits. I literally fish 3 different baits on my drop shot. And I think if you implement at least a strategy like this, I think you'll catch more fish drop shotting and fishing finesse. Finesse is a big deal right now. Every single big that I've caught down here in Florida has been on finesse techniques, and I almost guarantee you when I get back to Alabama, other than throwing a spook and a spinnerbait, I'll probably have to catch them using finesse stuff too this time of year. My main go-to, and this one is super generic, and you guys probably all know it, and if you don't, like, it will change your life. Rubble Worm. These are ultra soft. They're basically as close to a hand-poured worm as you're going to get from a standard retail perspective. It's a super dumb looking worm. It's so plain. It's so lame. This is the 6-inch version. I have 4-inch, but my general for this time of year is the 6-inch. I'm actually not a huge fan. They make a 7-inch. Not a huge fan of it. But if there's one worm to ever drop shot, it's this guy. And to be honest with you, this is Aaron's Magic. It's Aaron Martin's Magic. It's one of his signature colors. It's one of the original Robo Worm colors. That's the only color that you need, unless you're chasing spots or something and you need some weird stuff, or the water's so clear or crazy. But if you got one, Aaron's Magic is probably the most any lake color that you have ever fished in your life, and a Robo Worm is 100% my go-to. These suck for wacky rigging though. Like when we're going to talk about wacky rigging, don't use these guys. These guys are best for Texas rigging or putting it right through the nose. But they're great on brush piles. They tear up very easily, but they get a lot of bites, and the 11 pounder that I caught was actually on that guy, and I think that had something to do with it. The other kind of bait, kind of moving away from like worms and that, is more of a shad style bait, and this is a Gambo Shaky Shad. I just did one in the rigging videos. What's really cool about this is this bait will actually float, so you get a very, very slow fall presentation. It's super duper compact. I think it comes in at like, I want to say 3.5 inches, maybe 4 inches. Super small. You'll notice it's in pink too. I have a lot of these baits in pink for fishing for smallmouth as well as spotted bass, and you'd be surprised pink actually works for largemouth as well. But what I do with this thing is the Texas rig, just like a worm. You know, it's very compact. It looks like some of the glass minnows and the very small shad that these fish eat in late summer. The other thing that I'll do, like I showed you, is I will wacky rig this thing, and it gets super duper twitchy. And it's pretty sweet, especially on open water or vertical fishing. If I'm actually seeing fish on the active target, I can drop this down there and shake it like right next to the structure, and I actually catch really big fish on this. It's a cool little bait. Actually, total side note, don't sit on it like on a Ned too. You can put it on a little 1/8 ounce Ned and skip it under docks, and it's pretty naughty for spotted bass. But the Shaky Shad is my other go-to, basically like a shad style bait, super compact. We're talking about fishing finesse style baits for fish that are in a neutral mode, or the water temps are super hot. It's just they're not really in the mood to bite, which has been my experience thus far late summer, especially down here in Florida. But now I'm going to totally mix it up, and this is something a lot of guys do not do, and they should. The most ultimate bait for bass fishing is a stick bait, or Senko, whatever you want to call it. Basically a soft plastic straight tail worm. This is an ace. There's something about them, I don't know what it is, but like it's almost like a less is more sort of concept. But the trick is with this guy, what I'll do is I'll take an ace. I think Yum makes a little like 3.5 or 4 inch stick bait too. And I'm never really Texas rigging these. This is 100% sort of an open hook presentation, and I'll do this on like a shell bar. I've actually done it around grass because oftentimes the grass is only so high off the bottom. I will wacky rig this thing, and it is absolutely killer, dude. Like a wacky rig, it seems like in spring or late summer going into fall, is just one of those deals that can be a grind to fish, but this is kind of a cool way to sort of take the slowness out of fishing a wacky rig, because you have it on a 1/4 ounce weight. You can cast it a little bit further, you can fish it down a little bit deeper, you can drag it next to docks. Wacky rigging a stick bait on a drop shot is one of the most underrated, underdone. You will whoop your boys behind with it, dude. And you can sit there and you can shake it, you can slow drag it. The other thing that I'll tell you about with all of these guys, and maybe I can pop a clip in here afterwards when I'm doing the edit to kind of show you. A lot of guys will fish a drop shot like this. I got my rod at like a 45, and I'm like shake, 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 shake. That's terrible. But basically, you shake the rod and like kind of shake your bait going all the way back. That's wonderful, and it does work. I've noticed that seems to work a little bit better on northern fish. But if you're dealing with Florida fish, or if you just want to change it up, one of the ways that I actually fish a drop shot is I shake it with my rod tip practically at the surface of the water, doing a very small side swipe, almost like you'd fish like a Nico rig when you're trying to keep it on the bottom super tight. And I actually try not to shake it too much, especially late in the summer. I think these fish get a little more, they just react less. So less is more, kind of like we talked about. I really believe a slow side drag to a drop shot, especially if you're fishing structure, especially if you're fishing late summer kind of neutral mode fish, is one of the better presentations that you can do. I once actually talked to JT about it, and JT's like, a lot of those really good drop shotters up north, they don't sit there and go, they just go like that. and they drag it super duper slow. And I mean, if you think about old man worming and stuff like that, them jokers aren't sitting there shaking the worms like getting all OCD trying to, like, oh, I gotta shake the worm, gotta make it move. I mean, them old men are dragging, and they catch some bigs doing that. But that's something that I'd highly recommend you try if you're fishing a structure, especially if it's like a hard bottom deal, and you just feel like you're up there shaking and not getting bites. You'd be amazed how much better bottom contact you get going and fishing that rod on the side and keeping your rod tip low and dragging versus shagging. Wow. What am I? Where's my mind at? Dragging versus shaking the bait. But try some of those things. Wacky rigging, downsizing your drop shot. If worse comes to worse, run that Robo Worm. It's for the deal. Like, it works anywhere in the country. But a drop shot right now seems to be a fire technique. I was talking to some of my boys in Alabama too. They're catching them on it up there. It's a suspended kind of fish. They're in a neutral mode, not very happy with heat. You can fish it around grass, you can fish it around cover, but it's a way to make a finesse presentation with a soft plastic worm, especially something super small, you know, that they're willing to actually bite, and at the same time still catch some bigs. But try that Wacky Rig and try that Shaky Shad, and try dragging instead of shaking, not shagging. I can't talk. Well, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Bog has been sitting next to us for this entire video, supporting the drop shot finesse, catch more bass than your buddy kind of mentality. Yeah, so throw a like on the video for that, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you guys got anything to add to maybe the drop shot technique that we broke down, some of the finesse worms, or something that you're doing in late summer to catch more bass, a lot of people read the comments. I read the comments. Drop them down below. I'll put links to everything that we talked about at Tackle Warehouse, so you can kind of check them out. And like I said, if you drop shot nothing else, throw a Rubble Worm. It'll change your drop shot life, bro. But tight lines for now. We'll see you back out on the water. Thank you guys for watching. Later.